Microsoft Teams is Microsoft's tool for video conferencing and team collaboration. And today I'm going to show you how you can use it to increase your productivity at school or work. Hey guys, this is Abdurrahman Siddiqui, aka Pakistani Pepper, and on this channel I do software and teaching tutorials like this one. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. This is Microsoft Teams for beginners right now. So I am in the app. Let's begin with the first step right at the start. You're going to see Teams, which is basically all the groups that you're involved in. I'm in Humanities team meetings and I'm in the Humanities leadership team. Those are the two teams that I'm involved in. So on the top right, let's say, I'm going to create one where I want to work with people and I'll say create a team. This, by the way, if you notice, is also where you're going to join a team if somebody gives you a code. But I'm just going to create a team and I can decide, do I want this to be a class with my students? Do I want this to be a professional learning community where it's educators, staff, or other? So let's say I'm going to pick other and I'm going to say team name and I'm going to say history curriculum development. And that can be my team and I can say all the people here will share and work to develop a curriculum for History 2020. Now, obviously, I'm an educator, so that's my area of focus, but this can just as easily be anything else. This can be Department of Training New Employees. And you can say all the people in here will share and work to develop a curriculum for new employees. So basically, this is not a tool tied specifically to educators, is my point. Now, here's the important part, the privacy. Do you want it to be private where anyone in your only team owners can add members, or public where anyone in your organization can join? I like to keep it private only because I work with smaller groups, but you can make it public if you want everyone with your organization email to work there. So, let's click next. Now, it's going to say add members. So I can add virtually anyone. Here, you can add people outside of your organization as guests by typing their email address. Now, here's the thing. People outside of your organization can only be added as guests. So they can do some things, but their access will be limited. But just to be safe, I'm going to add myself. And I'm going to add my other email just so you see what it's like to add someone. So I'll do that. And we'll do this. They'll be guest. And they're added. So now they're added as a guest. But if I invite someone else who's actually in my same organization unit, they wouldn't be a guest. So now they're added. And I can just close that up. So now as you can see, now this is the department meeting. So now here I will say, hi everyone. Welcome to our first meeting place. It's not a meeting yet because we have to schedule that in a second. But look at everything that I can do here. I can format my words. I can attach files. So let's say I want to attach, and when my files are ready, so I can upload from my computer, and maybe I just want to share, I don't know, this gradebook. And I upload that gradebook, and it is shared. I can also add emojis, GIFs. They have those interesting ones, stickers if I need. Now this is one that's really interesting. I can click here and immediately start a meeting, but I'm gonna wait for a second. And then these are slightly more advanced features, such as the stream where you save meetings, but I'll get to that in a second. Once I'm done with all this, and I'll click send, and now I'll say something along the lines of files. So now this is where all the files would exist that anyone in the group uploads and everyone can see them. So I can upload right from my computer again. Let's say I also want to share Gradebook 1. And all of these, as you can see, have been shared. And I can start downloading files as well if I needed to. I can download them back. And as you can see, it says download general, or it says downloading general. As you can see, it's downloading now. And now this is where our shared files will go. So everyone in our team will be able to see them. And now with these files, I can organize them in folders. I can create new documents. Basically, it's like if you had a shared Google Drive in some ways. And it's very similar, and it's all the tools that you're used to working with, so that's always a positive. Now, for the next step, I'm also going to come here on the left, and I'm going to go to Calendar. This is the other big feature, which is how to create a meeting. So, what you're going to do now, just to create a meeting between you and your team, you're going to go ahead and you can do two options. One is the immediate meeting, will you start private meeting, meet now. And the other is where you can schedule a new meeting. So I'm going to click schedule new, and I'm going to say meeting number 1. And I'm going to add required attendees, which is optional. And I can specify who's required to attend and who's optional. So maybe our guest here is required to attend. And when you start typing in names under optional, you'll also see people in your department. So I can decide what date I want this. Maybe I want this for Monday. And then I can go to 9 p.m. and for the same time, it's going to go for half an hour. I can decide how long I want it to be. I can even make it an all-day meeting. And then here's the really interesting part. I can click on does not repeat. What that means is it's not going to be a repetition. It's not going to be a meeting that happens every other week or every week, every weekday, daily, weekly, monthly, whatever I decide. I can even set it to custom, and I can pick it repeats one day and it ends however many times. So I can make it a weekly meeting, occurs every Monday at the same time. So now I can add which channel it's going to rest on. These are all the teams that I'm a part of. So I'm going to go to the Department of Training New Employees, and I'm going to put this there so that they see it. And then I can attach the location here if I would need to, but this is going to be digital. So I'm just going to say digital only. That's fine. And now I'll say, provide an example that please attend and add files and questions. Now, once all that is done, I can go ahead and I can send this invite. Here's the really nice part. Once I actually go to the next week, I'm going to see it at the bottom here. This one, where I can immediately click on it, and technically I can just, this is the message that I sent everyone, and I can also just go ahead and join it. So now let's imagine that once I'm done with the meeting and I've sent it out, now I want to join. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click join here. And once I'm here, I have a couple of options. This is the first step where I can turn the camera on or off. This is really good for when you have less bandwidth and you want to make sure that you don't have lag. This here is going to be when I want to blur my background if my background doesn't look nice. So if you notice on the left there, I can blur it. I can add these cool effects, whatever I want. Some people prefer that. I always just think that's extra pressure on my computer. So I just like to keep it normal. And also I have a pretty neat background, I think. And then finally, the third one, you want to make sure that your microphone is added. So I'll take custom setup. And what I have to do is make sure that the microphone is the microphone I normally use. So once I do that, I can now start with join now. And after it takes a second, as you can see, now I am in the meeting. But as of right now, I am actually alone in the meeting. So what I'm actually going to do now is wait for my person to join. And obviously that's not going to happen because I am the person. So now once you have started your meeting, here is what you're going to see. You have the conversation. If you notice, this actually has the directions that I gave earlier when I was first assigning the meeting. I have the camera button. I can turn it off if needed. I can mute myself. This I'll get to in a second. This is where I can see all the features, once again, deciding which devices I want, entering full screen, showing background effects, starting the recording. That's important because if you want to save your meeting, get everyone's permission, start that recording, and it's going to be in that stream that I showed you earlier. I can raise my hand if we're in a lengthy meeting with a lot of people in here. I can click that raised hand, and then the presenter can see that I have my hand raised, and they can pause everyone and just say that Mr. Siddiqui had something to say. And then I can show my participants, right now I am the only one, because this person was invited and has no response. How irresponsible. And then this is where I can end the call. But the coolest feature of Microsoft Teams that I believe actually makes it the best tool for doing these meetings is if you go to share, look at all the things it does. I'll start from the right so you can see. The right side has a whiteboard. This allows me to use this whiteboard where I can draw and other people in the meeting can also draw. So if we all are just drawing maybe ideas and we'll say pros, cons, and then everyone can just draw together. And then one person would list here, and then one person would list here, and then everyone would be working together. Now, I can go back to the share screen, and instead of the whiteboard, I can do this, where I can share some of the things that we were studying originally in class. So for example, I know my class was studying chapter 3. So I'll start there and I can click that. And here's the really great part. This opens up my PowerPoint so I can present it and look at everything that's available to me. As one of the really golden things is that I can stop presenting, or with this, I can prevent participants from moving at their speed. One of the greatest things about PowerPoint is that when you share it in this, originally people have the option to move at their own pace. And I don't feel like that's necessary at all times. So I can have them move at my pace, where I decide how many of these 42 slides or whatever we're going to go. And then I can stop presenting there and I come back to the main page. And then with the share feature, finally the last thing is where you can share your entire desktop if you have multiple windows, or you can share the specific windows you have open. For example, I have this open, Microsoft Teams in my browser, and now it's showing my browser because that's what I selected as the window. So maybe I'll say go to, I don't know, YouTube, and I can start playing a movie. And whatever all this is, Mortal Kombat, that's Mortal Kombat and Stone Cold. That's what comes up for me, which is pretty amazing. So once I do all that, going back, I can stop sharing again, and now we're just back at the meeting. So that's what really makes this upper level, in my opinion. So I can end this meeting now. So once again, now when I come back, you'll once again see all my meetings, and this is the Department of Training New Employees, where I was. And then I can just start a conversation here this time that, hey guys, as we discussed in the meeting, Abdul will actually show up next time. And you know, whatever you want to. And then once again, I can go right here and technically I can just start a meeting right then as well. And I can say, we are meeting now. So I will meet now. And as you can see, once again, a very, very quick start to the meeting. And if that's not what you need to do, go back to Teams. You can always start a conversation right there. So there is communication via chat. There's file sharing, where we can all share files. And then, of course, there are calendar meetings where you can invite people and join. So that's it. That is the basics of how you would use Microsoft Teams in virtually any context. So that's it. If you found the tutorial helpful, consider liking and subscribing, and be sure to leave a comment down in the comments below. This is Pakistani Pepper saying peace out, stay peppery, and don't forget, sometimes life's best lessons are in the stories we hear least. Have an awesome day, guys.